I used to change my escape mapping all the time, but I've decided on leader M. It's really easy to hit, and I like it better than the usual KJ, JK mess. The other thing is I have it mapped to where if I'm holding shift when I hit the comma, it still works. I also map colon to semicolon and leader semicolon to exclamation point, which is great. Autocomplete stuff. Nothing terribly interesting here. I use autocomplete pop or neocomplete cache. Used to use autocomplete pop. I use neocomplete cache and basically just hijacked their defaults. Folding. I use enter to open folds, leader enter to open nested folds, all of them, leader Z. Well, leader Z is more interesting if I have a bunch of folds open. So leader Z only closes all folds except for the current one. Stole that from Steve Losh. Leader enter opens all folds globally. Backslash local leader twice, and enter closes all folds. I usually use fold method indent, and yeah, that's folding. Plugins. Pretty much, I have Control P for file browsing, but I have it default Control P mapped to Control Y so that I could map actual Control P to do Control P in the current working directory. So I'm in vim config extensions, and if I run Control P, it shows you what I have in vim config extensions. And if I hit leader space, it's supposed to do Control P for buffers, but it's not working. Probably because I am using tabs for this because it's just easier. Get stuff. Control C plus a key does get things. I have Control G mapped to something else, I believe. Or no, Control G was just awkward to reach. Snippet stuff, that's boring. Vundle, these are all my plugins. That's nothing terribly interesting. Except I use stupid easy motion instead of easy motion. So this is my own personal version of surround.vim. I never quite got how to use surround.vim, so I just wrote my own, and it looks like this. This does the usual surround thing, where if I insert a quote, it inserts another quote and puts me between them, and the same for all of the other usual paired characters. These do the same thing, except for if I hit enter, it puts me on a blank line between them. So something like this, or if I go like that, I'm now ready to type a function body or something. If I could type like that, which is wonderful. These are great because if I do this, I don't get an extra character. If I hit backspace, I only get one of them. So if I go like that, I get just the open paren and no close paren. Visual mode surround text. So if I go like that and hit quote, it surrounds it with quotes. Or it works with double quotes. or parens, or brackets of all sorts. So that's really useful. This is also really useful. So if I want to, if I have that surrounded with quotes, but they're the wrong kind of quotes, I can go leader and then the other kind of quote, and it fixes it. Now, for some reason it moves it, which is a problem that I need to solve, but that will have to wait. So, yeah, that's cool. And then just specific abbreviations for things that I type commonly and typos that I make. In mail, I don't want to be inserting 2 single quotes every time I type an apostrophe. So, yeah. In HTML, I do want to insert I do want to match your usual Wicket things and surround them and all sorts of good stuff like that. This is useful. These 2 lines here allow me to quickly insert a print pre and the closing slash print slash pre if I'm in PHP. And this allows me to insert Drupal set message very, very nicely. It still needs a little bit of work though. So actually, I think I'm going to do this. And make it like that. So that should be a little better now. That's match brackets. Motions, motion mappings. Diff motions are great. I never quite could remember how diff motions worked, so I mapped it to DN and DP for diff next and diff previous. Swap visual mode and visual block mode. I use visual block mode all the time and rarely use visual mode. I use visual line mode more than I use visual mode even. So that's useful. Control F for find and replace. That's a holdover from when I wasn't familiar enough with Vim to do find and replace the Vim way, so I still use that. This is great, and same with this. If I want to swap out a word, I can just type -R or -R if it's selected or not, and it will search for that word and allow me to replace it. These are heresy, essentially. It's Emacs mappings for command line, which is really helpful when I want to jump to a specific place in the command. Holdover from the shell, which is now in Vim mode. These jump to specific places, so Shift L jumps to the end, Shift H jumps to the first non-blank character. 0, of course, jumps to the beginning of the line. Shift J goes to the bottom, Shift K goes to the top, and Tab jumps between matching brackets. Usually I want to center when navigating, so if I'm jumping between brackets or something, if I'm using the bracket motions, I want it to center. If I'm searching, I want that to center as well. In normal mode, if I have a line that wraps, I want to go visually up and down one line, not technically go up and down one line. So I have that mapped to GK and GJ instead of J and K. In visual mode, however, I do want to go up and down one technical line. And then, of course, I kill the arrow keys, except up and down, go page up and page down instead of doing other possible things. And that's my motion mappings. Saving. This basically all this is save mappings. I use leader SS for save, or in normal mode, just SS. Save but don't retab. Don't often use that. Probably could get rid of it, but I might find some time when it needs to be used. Save and close with leader WW. Close without saving. Save and quit with leader WQ. Kill Vim, leader capital Q. Quit but ask first, that's leader Q. And then sanity mappings. I fat finger things all the time, so I have QQ mapped to WQ and CL mapped to close. And I remap Q to do the right thing in insert mode and all sorts of things like that. For some reason, just no remap Q would make typing Q in insert mode delay a second before it continued, and I don't like that, so I remapped it. Now the really fun file, splits. This is how I manage buffers. I've been using tabs so that I had some sense of where I was in this screencast, but I usually use buffers. And you can see I have a whole huge list of them here. So, splits. If I open a split, I use Control HJKL to navigate between them. I use leader SN and leader SV to make splits. So leader SV makes a vertical split, leader SN makes a horizontal split, and CL kills all of them. I set equal always, and I use \equals to equalize them, to equalize splits. So I like split below and split right. Window size mappings, I use Control WASD to change window sizes. So Control WWWSSSAAADDD. So if I screw things up like this, and there we go, my syntax is all screwed up, and then I go like that, I can hit local \equal, and it equalizes everything, which is great. Buffer management. This is where it gets really fun. So I've mapped Control-Z to no-op, and then Control-Z to suspend. That way I can use Control-Z and then a letter to navigate buffers. So Control-Z-N goes to the next buffer, Control-C-P, well, Control-Z-P goes to the previous buffer. If I have a split open, Control-Z-O is, Control-Z-O maximizes a buffer. Control-Z-L lists buffers. Control-Z-A lists all the buffers. Control-Z-W wipes out buffers. Control-Z-K unloads. And then Control-Z-V does this, which is nuts. And then I suspended Vim. So, like that. Now I'm in auto commands. Great. I was in splits. Like that. And then Control-Z-H does the same thing horizontally. It's just wonderful. Control-Z-B jumps to a specific buffer. Same thing as space. So, yeah. That's my vimrc.